This was the very first time I came to Vanille. We made this. It is a somewhat sad and decrepit version, it's now 5 years old I think, of a vertical garden. The idea being that soil and plants go in here, water goes in the top, and it waters itself all the way down the bottom. Does anyone know what part of a dandelion is edible? Holding it like this here, getting the bracts, and then just really just pinching, I'm pinching it with my thumbnail, pushing through it, and then just peeling it back. There you go. This space is our afternoon activity here. So this is going to be where we're going to plant our cover crop today. First garden tool I'm going to introduce you to today is the stirrup hoe. This is a double-bladed hoe here, which is particularly good for cutting shallow roots of herbs, of weeds and other such things. So let's say over here, like in your triangle, let's say, who got the most mustard? Your team, we're going to call your team the mustard team. So mustard team, you're going to be in the pergola triangle, so the triangle closest to the pergola. And over here, for example, you've got dandelions growing. Now, I'm totally okay with dandelions growing. You all know how tasty they are now. However, we want other things to grow here and we want to give them a head start. So we basically just go back and forth to kind of chop the heads off. So right here, here's a nice example. This is now being cleanly cut here from the base, and this plant will probably die off. It may grow back from the root, but our cover crop's going to grow at the same time, so it's going to be an equal race. So you want to go over any grass. Worm. Grass is not our friend here. So going back and forth here, taking out any other weeds that may be growing, just down to the root. This is how you use your stirrup hoe. So we've only got one of these, so you're going to have to share. Next, we want the ground to be somewhat ready to receive the herbs, the seeds, sorry. Here it's pretty compacted. We were walking up and down here, removing the grass and things, so it's pretty solid. So what we want to do is use the garden rake here to work up what's called a nice tilth, so that it gets kind of light and fluffy. And you don't have to go too deep. It's just like the surface layer. The plant's going to do the majority of the hard work. So this right here is good for us to seed into. After that, I will grab just a little bit of seed here to show you how it's done. So this is a real pleasure of this process. I recommend that everybody has a handful and does it for themselves, and just sprinkle it down. And we're aim for an even light distribution first, and then you can always go over a second time if you have more seed left over. That's pretty light for now, but it'll work. And then the final process is to give it, we have a pile of compost over here, and we want a nice layer of compost to go over the top of our seeds here, to just give it a nice covering like that. And then if you want to, you can lightly tamp it down with your feet here to make sure that the seed has optimal exposure to the soil. Otherwise there might be like a little air pocket and the seed won't necessarily know where to grow. And then once that's done, I don't think we're going to worry about watering. I'll do that as a final thing. And then we're going to lay these row covers over everything. So it's really about humidity. Germination is super vulnerable stage of the plant, and humidity is really important. We've got a week of rain coming, so I think we're going to be okay, but this is really going to help it out. And then once they start germinating, I'm going to come over here and pull it up and see how it does then. So I think that's it from step A to Z. So 2 or 3 people weighing, 2 or 3 people preparing your land. There you go.